Much so.
Yeah,
Jason,
excellent.
thanks for being with us today. And thank you, Brand Innovators, for hosting us. My name is Tyler Blot. I'm one of our client development leads at TransUnion. Before everyone goes wild that there's a credit bureau on stage today, I do want to temper excitement. We do also offer a full suite of marketing solutions, and that's where I have the privilege of spending my day-to-day talking to retailers, grocers, and e-commerce companies. As we were just introduced, obviously we're here to talk about love, albeit consumer love. Fun fact, Jason and I just met like 10 minutes ago, so I'm going to take
I don't like where this is going.
Yeah. I'm going to take some liberties, treat this a bit like a blind date. So we'll start off high level, we'll get into the meat of the topic. We'll open up for some Q&A, as is natural in a blind date setting, and then we'll close it. Jason, thank you so much. We'll kick things off. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and would love to hear more about 1-800-Flowers.
Yeah, definitely. So also excited to be here. So thank you to the Mastercard team. This is a great event, and the Brand Innovator team, as always, always on top of their game and always produce tremendous events of a lot of value for marketers. So thank you guys. And I was actually excited because the weather people said that there is an atmospheric river heading over the East Coast today. So exciting. Hopefully Long Island exists when I get back there later on today. So great. Jason John, been in marketing for a very long time. Worked for a blend of content and commerce companies, worked for Martha Stewart back in the Netflix documentary days, Mickey Drexler at J. Crew, went to a company called Red Cats and a small startup in the city called Gilt, worked there for a while, Gilt Group, and most recently Publishers Clearinghouse, which is obviously a sexy brand just like Gilt, prior to joining 1-800-Flowers based on that. So 1-800-Flowers, not sure if many of you know, but it's actually a portfolio of brands. There's about 18 brands in the portfolio. We have a food group that's really based on the West Coast in Medford, Oregon, with Harry and David, which is a great brand, celebrating its 90th anniversary this year. So it's really awesome to be part of something that special. Not too many brands celebrating their 90th plus birthday. Cheryl's Cookies, the Popcorn Factory. Getting close to lunch, so I'm going to stop on that side. We also have, obviously, Flowers, 1-800-Flowers, Plants.com, Sherry's Berries. And then on the personalization side, we have Personalization Mall and a brand called Things Remembered, which used to have a very large mall presence back in the early days. But all around the gifting ecosystem and those brands and those portfolios. So, and before I proceed, is there anybody that has any Christmas gifts left? Anybody have any Christmas gifts to buy? Nobody? Everybody's done shop. Don't lie. All right, there we go. Thank you for some honesty. But B2B gifts, if you guys want 20% off any one of those sites that I said, is a special gift to start off the day.
Awesome. You're making my job very easy.
There you go.
So I think when
how's the date going so far? Is it good?
Fantastic. Right. You're exceeding all expectations.
You got to start strong on dates, right? You got to start strong.
Yes. Right. I think naturally when people hear 1-800-Flowers, the assumption may automatically gravitate towards Valentine's Day. But obviously, given everything that you just mentioned, the portfolio of brands, how busy is this time of year for you guys?
Yeah, especially for the food brands. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with Harry and David. Their pears, the Royal Riviera pears, grown in the Rogue Valley, only place in the world that they're grown. They're a very traditional, classic holiday gift, along with our gift baskets. So we'll sell hundreds of thousands of pears over the holiday. So Christmas is a huge, and the holiday time period is huge for us. But then there's no rest for the weary, because right after, to your point, Valentine's Day, very big holiday for flowers, and then we get into Mother's Day, which is even bigger holiday, and a lot of love being shown on Mother's Day across the nation. So all of our brands pick up then. So we have the luxury of having 6 months of peak season, which is fun.
It's a great spot to be in. Yeah. So you've been at the company about 2.5 years. Can you talk a little bit about how you've, I guess, put some practices in place to evolve the brand, and put that in context from the portfolio level as well?
Yeah, definitely. So, I would say evolution beyond the transaction and going beyond being a gift or e-commerce company has really been my main focus. And what do I mean by that? Well, I mean, I don't know if you guys have heard of this company called Amazon. They're out there, right? There's Etsy. There's a lot of destinations where you can buy a gift. So our goal is to try and get beyond that and really concentrate on what's important to us, and that's growing more and better relationships for our customers. Giving a gift is one aspect of doing that for relationships, but it's also how to express yourself in other ways. So, we have a large content team that is now producing, a good amount of content around connections and expressions, really looking at a broader North Star. When we think about some of the articles like the New York Times, had released recently on the loneliness epidemic, as connected as we are in a digital world, and we all have these devices, I'm sure, either with us, as I hear some clicking too, there's definitely, an always present digital device, but for some reason, loneliness and sort of isolationism is at an all-time high. So that's something that we, as an enterprise, hold near and dear to us as a core value, is to help people connect in real ways. And like I said, gift giving is one of them, but we need to go beyond that if we're going to be authentic and true to that North Star. So developing a lot of content pieces. We have a free newsletter that goes out to 10 million plus people every week called The Pulse, that really addresses, community, friendship, life issues, mental wellness. So I think for us, like expanding our horizons and going beyond gifting is what we're trying to do.
Awesome. So you mentioned something about building more and better relationships with consumers. Naturally, I think that's a perfect segue into customer loyalty. How are you guys approaching that at Flowers, and does that really differ across brands like Sherry's Berries, Harry and David?
Yeah, so part of my role at an enterprise level is trying to unify all of that. So, as we grew this company from an acquisition strategy, any merger and acquisition growth strategy, one plus one has to equal three, right? I don't know if I really like that phrase or not, but it's true. Like, you really need to make sure that the synergies are building something bigger than the individual parts. So, not to call her out, but we have Michelle here today. Say hi, Michelle. Yeah. She's embarrassed right now. But Michelle leads our CRM and loyalty program, so if you get a chance to say hello, please do. And loyalty is really important to us at an enterprise level. So I do have a lot of conversations with people. Even when I joined the company, I didn't know that we had all the brands that we do have in our portfolio. But to provide value to the consumer, our Celebrations Passport loyalty program is really what we're evolving and growing. In that Passport program, you pay a small fee and you get free shipping across our portfolio brands. And again, that's really commerce-based, and now we're trying to expand those values and the value of being in that program to beyond that gifting and transaction. So that's going to be the foundation, and Michelle and I are kind of working forward on how to grow that. Partnerships, I think, are a huge part of what we want to do, bringing a value add. We just partnered with Live Nation recently to allow our Passport members to enter sweepstakes to get into VIP. So we had a Mariah Carey VIP experience in her upcoming concert here in late December. Those types of perks that go above and beyond what you would expect, and especially through partnerships, is extremely important. So excited to grow that program as we move forward.
So partnerships aside, and given the broader topic of today, AI, are you guys leveraging AI for any sort of ideation during that process on how you're taking that to market? Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, this is the first I've heard of AI, so this is great. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. We've historically been early adopters in technology. So believe it or not, even the 1-800 number, we were an early adopter of that technology innovation of the 1-800 number. We were also the first brand to sell flowers online with our partnership with AOL and CompuServe. So we have traditionally been at the leading edge of innovation, and AI is no different. We're embracing that on many different levels. So and also through partnership, which is going to be a running theme of what I talk about. Partnering closely with Microsoft, which was here a little earlier, was great to hear from them. But working with them at an enterprise solution and making sure to avoid those pitfalls of early AI adoption, along with trying to get some of the wins with early AI adoption as well.
Awesome. So I definitely cheated a little bit in this whole blind date scenario, as any good person would going on a blind date. You have to do a little research ahead of time, and thankfully you're a big partner of Brand Innovators, so there's a ton of great content out there.
You social stalked me.
Yeah, exactly. You talk a lot about AI. Clearly you're well versed in it. Clearly 1-800-Flowers is well versed in it. Do you have any words of wisdom for organizations that are considering taking that leap and implementing AI further into the organization day to day?
Yeah, definitely. And there was some definitely some good guidance here earlier today in some of the earlier conversations. But a couple places to start initially. First of all, you have to start, right? And I think we're mostly beyond that. But I would think about automation as sort of the first thing I think about, and even beyond that, super automation. So what tasks that are mundane that we're doing today, either as an organization or you yourself personally, and how do you start to automate that? So I would say, last year, probably our first, jump into the AI waters, across the organization was with just simple note taking. I don't know about anybody else, but it's a pretty big pet peeve of mine when nobody takes any notes in these meetings. So you just inevitably have the same meeting 30 days later, and it's like, unfortunately, if you have a good memory, you know exactly what the next person's going to say because they said it at the last meeting. So just the automation of sort of the meeting notes and the summary of those, as well as the key takeaways, was a huge help from a productivity standpoint. So first of all, you have the person who was probably going to take the notes actually pay attention, and then secondly, you have a distribution of those notes and those takeaways for reference as you move forward. So super little things that could be helpful, but automation is really where you can start. And then secondly, AI is not a strategy, right? So I don't know if anybody said that earlier or not, but just to be clear, because I see this mistake all the time, AI is not a strategy. You're not going to do AI. You're not trying to get into AI for AI purposes. You have a strategy. Your organization should have a strategy. If it doesn't, you might want to look for another organization. Connect with me on LinkedIn. But if your organization has a strategy, building more and better relationships, how does AI help to fuel that and get to where you want to be faster, right? So then it starts to become easy, and you start to really understand what the framework should be and the roadmap should be with AI, because that's what it's going after, and I think that's where you need to start.
Perfect. Let's jump into a few wins. Where have you guys seen success?
Yeah, I think so again, simple things. Again, meeting efficiencies, I think, have been super important. Simple data analysis, I think, has been definitely a win for us. Try to go into and there's a concept out there of sort of a synthetic employee. I don't know if anybody has a thing called resource problems. We certainly have resource problems. Every team I manage, their biggest request is more people on the team. So to help combat that, if you can get AI to help augment teams and do certain responsibilities, that is a large win. We're finding some success again on that data analysis side and trying to get simple answers faster. But it is a process, as Cheryl and others have talked about. There's hallucinations and auditing and things you have to really keep on top of. But once you do, it really starts to steamroll a bit and get momentum. So I think those have been the biggest ones.
How about what excites you about the future?
Yeah, atmospheric rivers. That's definitely exciting. I think the advancement of AI is certainly excites me. I think the ability to start to connect a lot of dots that maybe are not connected today, especially within larger organizations, either from a communication standpoint or from a customer-facing standpoint. But I think storytelling, to me, is really an important piece that I don't know how AI is going to fit into it, but it needs to. I think as brands specifically, storytelling, as far as the importance and the weight of importance in what you're doing today, is really going to elevate. So if storytelling is not a key strategic effort of a brand strategy today, it has to be tomorrow, because there is this homogenous opportunity out there where all these AI, so every LLM is going to start to be a commodity, right? So whether it's ChatGPT or Llama or pick your best flavor. NVIDIA just launched their own version, believe it or not. It's a chip company that now launched a customer-facing LLM. So there's going to be this homogenous mixture, and I was dared to say homogenous today in the fireside chat, so I got it. So things are starting to blur a little bit, and it's going to start to seem the same, right? And some of the outputs are going to seem less unique. So I think a brand needs to rise above that and really focus on storytelling. So I'm excited to see how brands rise above this sort of blending peanut butter spread, if you will, get above that and keep their uniqueness in storytelling.
Once again, you hit me with the perfect segue. So we talked about wins, successes. How about concerns? I think you just touched on one right there, being able to differentiate, cut through the clutter to build that loyalty.
Yep.
What else?
Yeah, from my side, and maybe this is a little bit more specific, to brands, is really discoverability. I think that scares the hell out of me right now. We've built an expertise over the past 10 years or so on really optimizing a pay-per-click model. So working with those companies like Google, Bing, et cetera, to get your brands discovered. And then all of a sudden now with AI overviews and Perplexity and other AI-specific destinations, how does your brand get discovered? And what do you need to do differently to make sure it's discovered in the same way that it is today? I think it undoes a lot of what we've done. Look at it from my head of SEO, scrambling right now to figure out how we're going to translate all this work that we've done into an AI-driven world. So it is going to be interesting. And I guess the last point is just bot to bot. Like how does that work? And how many have heard of that term, bot to bot? So basically, how are bots communicating with other bots that you don't even understand, right? Are there personal assistants out there? If you think about Apple, and again, one more share of hands. How many people have a phone? How many Apple iOS? Yeah, that's scary, right? So they're slow rolling an opportunity to disrupt everything that we know. So as a retailer, what if Siri doesn't? I don't know if this is recorded. If Siri's not that good today, based on some standards, what happens when it's awesome in a year from now? How does that change things? How does that bot or assistant start to find things for you? So if you want to order flowers for Valentine's Day and you're asking, Siri or some bot that Apple produces, I need to go buy flowers. How do I know that they're going to talk to my bot? How are they going to go to 1-800-Flowers to find that? How is that going to exist? So the world is going to change very quickly, especially once Apple starts to get off the slow roll and starts to move forward. And quite honestly, they don't have to. They can take their time, because with the show of hands in this room, right, if you amplify that, they can take all the time in the world. But it is going to change, and it's going to change in a very big way. So we just need to start to get ahead of that a little bit as much as we can and prepare for what could come next. So exciting and scary at the same time.
Very much so.
Just like our date.
Exactly.
Yes.
You didn't even know you were on one.
Didn't know. That's
20
right.
minutes
That
ago.
was the scary part.
So to get a little more tactical on the discoverability piece, are you doing anything right now as it relates to leveraging AI from a creative development standpoint, or leveraging AI from a media plan development standpoint?
Yeah, I think the best way to sum it up is just utilizing AI tools within partners that we have and embracing that. So, for instance, we use Salesforce from a CRM perspective, so embracing their AI tools within Salesforce. We have Snowflake as sort of our data infrastructure, so embracing their AI tools. Google, obviously, with their AI tools. So it's more embracing partners with the AI capabilities, and from a content standpoint and creative standpoint, I think Justin and others touched on it. It's not quite there yet. It certainly helps, especially for us as a performance marketing company. We produce a lot of variation on specific creative. So if you get 85-90% of a creative and you need to produce 20 versions of that, AI is helpful of that when you've already got it there. So if it's different end cards, or a couple of different images, or maybe it's a text change across, AI has been good at pumping out those variations where it used to be a manual process. Again, automation. How do we start to use it to automate mundane tasks and augment teams? So if creative teams have less resources, so sometimes we get 3 versions back. Well, we would want 20. So how does AI help us create those 20? But when it comes to like soup to nuts or start to finish, it's not quite where it needs to be, but it certainly can help automate some of these processes.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple more questions, but did want to pause and make this the crowdsourced portion of today's discussion. Does anybody have questions for Jason?
Hi, Jason. Nice to meet you, Sebastian from Mastercard. Nice to meet you. Wait, I heard too many good things about you. This is going to be a tough question. He's the champ, right? I remember the champ. Yeah, I remember that. He's a ringer in the back.
I'm actually a super 1-800-Flowers user.
All right.
From when I was younger with my grandparents, now with my parents. Your bot-to-bot conversation that was in my mind when you were talking. So when in the future, when our bots are talking to one another, and maybe my mom's bot says, "Hey, you've sent her enough flowers," think about something else in your portfolio. How do you start those conversations internally at your organization to even start thinking about that and planning for it?
Yeah, I think in certain scenarios, I believe it does go back to what we're fundamentally doing already. So in that scenario, we're creating more SLMs. And again, I think that's going to be an important point moving forward. So again, as LLMs, in my favorite word, homogenize, or sort of be a commodity across the board, how can you use your own internal data and use SLMs or whatever you need to do to differentiate and create moats and opportunities, so when things like bot-to-bot come, you're prepared for it. So in this instance, I mean, we have hundreds of millions of gifters and recipients. We are collecting hundreds of thousands of occasions per month and tying those relationships together. So when you start saying, okay, if it's a gift for a mom who enjoyed the yellow roses, here's the next best gifts or opportunities. We're also building sort of relationship management capabilities, so we can set reminders and for other occasions. So you might have forgotten it's her anniversary coming up. So, the bot would hopefully say, hey, it's an anniversary. Here's the 3 things that she likes. She likes yellow, she likes florals, and she likes to go hiking. I don't know what it is, but certain information that we can derive. And here are some recommendations based on the occasion and the recipient. So I think to answer your question in a more succinct way, it's building off of fundamentals that we're already doing, and then getting tighter with the data and potentially with SLMs that can start to answer those questions very quickly and expeditiously.
Thank you.
Yep. Who wants to follow the champ? Nobody wants to follow the champ. That was a good question. All right. That's good.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Oh, she's got to share.
Yes, she's our champ.
I would love for you to expand a little bit on how you're thinking about SEO and what new things you're putting in place for that. This is so top of mind for our team as well. Just getting SEO right and making sure for all the things we do at Mastercard that it comes up. And we've talked about a complete disruption here. How do you build for this in the future?
Yeah, it is. Like I said, it's one of the scariest parts of what we're looking at now. I think for us, one is continue to build on the fundamentals of SEO. I think that's super important because I don't think it's all going to go away. So when we did some earlier studies, and again, just dabbling with things, we saw about 50 to 60% of current SEO best practices sort of translate into the AI optimization route. So AIO and all the way out. But what we're trying to do is expand our content reach across different content partners. I do think AI is going to not only source from inputs within its own AI ecosystem, so it can start to aggregate and learn from what other people are typing in. So I think it's important to rest on fundamentals like customer service and satisfaction scores and all that other fun stuff, because the ecosystem will just be flooded with positivity, and then that positivity should resonate in AI. But then it's also, Reddit, for instance, is one example. I get a lot of pushback on working with Reddit. It's like sort of it's a frenemy of the content world. But I think there are places like that that AI will start to utilize in a heavier way. I think there's Weaver AI. That was a shopping AI bot that was relatively recent, and it primarily uses Reddit. So I'm not saying I'm a fan of that at all. So please don't note that from the conversation. I just know about it. But it has grown a little bit. But it's finding a lot of different content places and trying to be everywhere at the beginning until you start to hone it in. It is the Wild West, though, right? There's no answer. But keep doing what you're doing. Keep building off the fundamentals. Keep focusing on satisfaction and making sure that when content and user-generated content specifically happens in platforms like Reddit, etc., hopefully it's more positive than negative. So, yep.
I have another question I'd love to add. Do you have any recommendation for us in terms of budgeting for the innovation that we are all referring to? More often than not, find it quite hard to explain it to those who are not on the battlefield of marketing and sales every day. So any advice would be very much appreciated.
So the question is more, how do you position it from there?
Yeah, how do you position from a budgeting perspective internally so that you have those buffers that you can investigate?
Yeah, and again, hopefully your DNA of your organization, there is a desire for innovation. So there is that component. But with everything that I always try to do in my career is you got to have proof of concept and baby steps. You got to prove value, and then once you prove value in certain areas, so the onus does come back on you at the beginning to really hone in and prioritize on what you're trying to do. So I think, again, maybe it was Justin or the panel before talked a little bit about use cases, but try and be more specific. Like if your budget is, at least our CFO, if I just said, hey, I need an AI exploration budget of $5 million, it'd be a nice short conversation. But if we wanted to implement a new AI tool for micro segmentation that we've seen proven in the industry to provide a 20% lift on email. So even if we get 10% lift on email, it's going to be worth $15 million. Again, I'm making up these numbers. That to me sounds like a more compelling ask from a dollar standpoint. So clarity, prioritization, and try to be specific with the outcomes you're looking for versus more general is going to be a good path to start down. Yep. Cool. Anything else? Do you have any?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
So I'd like to get a little philosophical, just to end things
Fantastic.
naturally.
Yeah. Well, we've had a few drinks.
Yeah.
We've loosened up here at the end of the day.
Yeah, right. You talk a lot about growth mindset.
Yes.
Would love if you could spend some time defining that as that really relates to you, and just talk about a bit how that really relates to company culture.
Yeah, definitely. So pretty much in line. So that was a good setup too. From this budget conversation, growth and leadership in organizations used to historically rely on the corner office, right? So I think back in my earlier days, leadership really meant the executive level. It doesn't mean that anymore. Leadership comes at all levels. It comes from all functions. And it's really important in your organization to understand that, to highlight that, and to reward that. Identifying leadership talent, to cultivate leadership talent in your organization will raise all ships. So whether it's AI or it was blockchain or whatever new technologies are important to your brand or to your identity, having that culture that really empowers and fosters leadership at all levels is super important. Doing that is not easy. It sounds easy, but there needs to be a commitment, and it needs to be a commitment that is stuck to, and it has a plan, and you have people that enact it. So even the simple thing of calling people champs, it's like it's having recognition for those that are going above and beyond, for those that want to succeed and want the company that they're working for succeed. Turnover is another problem that we see, especially with younger employees, across the industry. It doesn't have to be like that. I think, as long as you're providing consistent challenge and growth opportunities, again, fostering a growth mindset, some of those things are going to come to light and to fruition to better the company and help grow your leadership from internally. So it's costly to go outside too to hire people. You lose time, you lose money, so it helps everybody. So it's important to not overlook culture when we're talking about AI. It's not about just technology, right? It's about the people. It's still going to be about people. I don't care what we do. In 10 years from now, I guarantee it's still going to be about people.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So we've got about a minute left. Did want to end on one last question. Let's set AI aside for a second.
Yeah.
What do you think the biggest opportunity for brands and brand marketers specifically are heading into the new year?
Yeah, I think I think it goes back to the human aspect of it and the counterbalance to the AI buzz. So one, you do have to embrace AI and you have to use it, and again, start off with automation, start off with making yourself more productive. That's going to be a key element moving forward. But then what's the flip side of that? So when I talked about the brand storytelling, it's how do you start to help your brand differentiate itself and continue to go down that brand story and the strategy. I mean, what the strategy is of your organization. How do you utilize AI, but then balance it with the art part of it that AI is not bringing to the table to get you to no maybes.
It's
It's for both Jason and Tyler individually. Given the obvious success of this first date, and this is on incremental sales, will we see 1 or 2 incremental orders of 1-800-Flowers today?
Absolutely.
I get an employee discount, so it's not fair for me. But B2B gifts, if anybody needs any last minute gifts. Yeah, there you
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. Jason, thank you for the time. Really appreciate the conversation.